Hi everybody, my name is Melissa Mangino and welcome to Beyond the IEP. Thank you for joining me today as I am going over part 6 of a 7-part mini-series where I'm just offering short videos with a little bit of tips and information that hopefully is valuable content for you that will help you as you navigate your way through the special education world in the public school system. It is tough out there. And so today we're going to be talking about related services. And so related services look differently in different states. But the biggest takeaway that I wanted to address today is the why related services are there, and then what you can do as a parent to help increase the related services that your child may need. And so the purpose of a related service on the IEP, or can also be on a 504, is to allow your child to have access or participate in the general education environment or extracurricular activities, but also allow them to make meaningful progress towards their IEP goals. Okay, so you have to think of a related service is there to support the specially designed instruction that's on the IEP. And so what happens when we get into the related service model is that you typically see 4 standard related services. So speech, language, PT, OT. However, there's a plethora more of related services under IDEA that you can actually request and consider when you're looking at what type of supports that your child may need. There's counseling, there's nursing, there's social work, there's psychology, there's parent training. All these things exist under related services, and they're there, and the district is obligated to provide them to your child if needed. And so I get into this a little bit more on my online course that I have, and it goes into depth a little bit more about the specifics of why you would want to ask a certain type of related services. And the data that you would need in order to obtain that. But for the purposes of today, it's really focusing on the why, so to make progress towards the goal, right? Or to allow your child to participate in the educational environment. But also, what do we need to look at when we want or think that our kid needs more services? And so I typically see services such as 30 minutes a week for language, 30 minutes a week for speech, and OT on consult because they didn't qualify because it's not educationally relevant. That's typically the standard IEP of what districts or states will do. And so just know that even though as a related service, the team may be telling you, well, this is what's on our schedule, this is what we can provide right now, related services are still required to be based on individualized student needs, just the same as specially designed instruction. So I hear a lot with service providers and therapists say, well, my schedule's full, I can only do 30 minutes right now for related services. And that is not the case. It is still based on an individual child's needs, and the IEP is an individual educational plan, and the related services go on the IEP. So they need to be individualized. So if you're hearing a cookie cutter number of 30 minutes or 45 minutes or 60 minutes over the month, just really make sure that you're questioning, is that the appropriate amount? What data are you using to determine that that's an appropriate amount? Is there a matrix? Is there a qualifying tool or a rating scale that your district uses to say this is the amount of service that a child with this degree of disability may need? So really question and ask those why questions to the therapist when you're in your IEP meeting. That's the number one way that I get an increase of service when I'm working with families, is really pushing and say, but where's your data to show that 30 minutes is appropriate? Right? Because my data is showing me that the kid is in 4th grade and he's really still struggling to hold a pencil, which is really going to prevent him to making progress towards his IEP goals because we have a writing goal on there. So 30 minutes a week is not really going to cut it when we're looking at the impact of his disability and his grade. And so another key that I want to make sure that you guys are asking when you are in the meetings is, what other supports and services as the related service provider can you provide my classroom teacher? And so they usually will have consult, or they're working with the teacher somewhere in the IEP or the collaboration, but ask for the data for that. So that's really when you'll see the increase in service for related services, having that conversation, and that tough discussion, because the classroom teacher is usually like, okay, the OT has never been in here. They've never done an observation. They don't know what type of, pencils are best, or seating is best, or sensory supports that I need as a teacher to support this child. So really push back and say, okay, as the therapist of this related service, what are you doing to support my child's classroom teacher? Because the ultimate goal of the related service is to be able to generalize those skills into the classroom, out into the school environment, and ultimately impact the progress that they're making towards their goal. So those are the two main things that I'd like to bring up when I am working around related services. So I hope that was helpful for you. I really do a bigger breakdown when we get into my online course. But for now, that is the information that you can take and apply today at your next IEP meeting. Thanks for joining.